this is Raj from ML Sportscars. In this video I'm going to talk about what it is like to drive a Porsche 991 Turbo S. This is a car we've got in stock at the moment, absolutely stunning condition. If you want to see all the features of this car, I've done a separate buying walk around video which goes through all of the tech, but also this car specifically in terms of its special options. I'll be talking about some of them on the road, but let's just get going and show you exactly what it's like to drive both at normal speeds and also when you're pushing it. Okay, I'm in this beautiful 911 Turbo S. It's a 2014 car, 3.8 twin turbo, 560 horsepower. Huge amount of power for the road, but it's all-wheel drive and it has a great amount of technology to keep you on the road, or to try and keep you on the road, as long as you drive sensibly. Now I'm initially going to drive quite leisurely because the car is completely cold, and that's what's great about these Turbo S's and the 991 Turbo is that they can be driven quite leisurely. They're not highly strung. Those turbos all of a sudden don't just kick in and throw you off the road. You can be quite relaxed behind the wheel in terms of your braking and accelerating. It does have carbon ceramic brakes, which again have got phenomenal stopping power, but they have got a huge amount of feel as well, so you don't have to feel like as soon as you touch the brakes it just slams them on. It's got progressive feel, which Porsches are renowned for, and some people who come from other brands of car, they say, oh, you really have to push the pedal, and that's deliberate because Porsche want you to be able to have the greater control over the brake pedal, because if you apply the brakes, jab the brakes mid-corner, you don't want it to suddenly unsettle the car and you end up on the outside in a ditch. Most other brands of cars, especially low performance cars, have, that sound is just glorious, they have over servo brakes, which obviously Porsche don't do. They're set up much more like race cars in terms of you actually have to use a pedal, you have to put a bit of force in with your foot, but in return you get an amazing amount of force back. I believe the stat is that most high performance Porsches are set up so that whatever speed they can accelerate to a particular speed, say 60 miles an hour, in a particular time, they can slow down from that speed down to zero, so 60 to zero in half the time. Now this car does 60 in around 2.8, 2.9 with everything engaged. So it'd be amazing to actually feel that. Actually, there's no one behind me. I'm on a nice quiet bit of road, so I'm just going to see what happens. Well, it definitely does know how to stop, and that wasn't even me pressing the pedal all the way down. Now these cars do heat up a bit quicker than your standard non-turbo cars, and that's because they do generate a lot of heat with those turbos. Now I've got it completely in normal mode, and it is so responsive when you want it to be. It just knows by your behaviour on the throttle pedal to wake up. But this does have all of those performance buttons, so it has Sport, Sport Plus, PDCC, so that's the Porsche Dynamic Chassis Control, which is paired with the switchable sport suspension. And when you enable that, what it does is it eliminates roll. So you can go around a corner at incredibly high speeds and you're not feeling the car rolling round it. Just going to close the window now that we're at the highest speeds, so you can hear me a bit better. Okay, so we're up to temperature now. 90 degrees on coolant, 81 on, no, yes, 81 on oil. So I'm going to put it in sport mode, which is the one I would suggest using on the road. And you can also engage the Porsche Active Aerodynamics, so that's lifting the front, lowering the front splitter and the rear wing. So they're both engaged, so it gives you a little bit more stability at high speed. This is my favourite test drive route. Absolutely love this route. It's a fabulous route to drive. It's a lovely sweeping B road. When it's quiet, you can go fast, you can go quite slowly. If you want to, you can test the braking performance without sort of disturbing anyone else on their drive. It's just these Turbo S's are just phenomenal road weapons. For me, they are the ultimate Porsche road car, and that's, to some people that's really obvious, because the GT3s, the GT4s of the Cayman are designed for the racetrack predominantly, but this thing will just eat up roads like nothing else. And so many other manufacturers try to make a car that can compete with this 911, flagship 911 on every level, and they might beat it in one particular area, but this still has the practicality of every other 911 with that big front boot, 4 seats that fold down as well, so you can get lots of luggage in these cars. They've got a good range in terms of fuel as well, and you service them every 2 years, just like the rest of the range. The Porsche ceramic brakes are, in all intents and purposes, maintenance free, other than changing the brake fluid every 2 years. So they are fantastic as well. So much stopping power. You just have to have the confidence to use them, but you quickly get used to driving this car fast, and you will come across other cars on the road and think they're almost at a standstill when you're driving this car, not anywhere near its limits, but it just absolutely sings. It doesn't. So these cars don't. People say, "Oh, has it got the option switchable sports exhaust?" The turbos, 991 turbos, didn't come with the option of a switchable exhaust. They have a fantastic sounding exhaust from the factory. I know some people improve them by putting a Krapovic or an equivalent exhaust on them, but to me, it crackles and pops. It's got so much tune to it, and you get to hear that beautiful spooling, the boost building up, the induction sound. Everything, I think, is in perfect balance with this car coming out of the factory. So I wouldn't change a thing. Who needs more than 560 horsepower on the road? I don't know. I know people tune these cars to be faster on the track, on the drag strip in particular, and on the racetrack, because these cars do handle exceptionally well. I'm just going to put Porsche Dynamic Chassis Control on, because it immediately makes it feel more alert on the road. You feel every little ridge in the road, and it doesn't tramline or anything like that. You just feel it's translating more of the road as soon as you press that button. The cars are remaining in sport now because I absolutely love that mode, and also I've got the start-stop disabled. So in terms of other technology, so it has active rear wheel steering, which at speeds below 30 miles an hour, the rear wheels will steer ever so slightly. We're talking fractions of a degree, possibly a degree or more, but not huge amounts. They will steer in the opposite direction of the front wheels, and that gives you more maneuverability at lower speeds, so it feels more pointy, because it is quite a long car. And then at the higher speeds, 30 plus, the wheels start turning in the same direction as the front wheels, and that gives you greater high-speed stability. So you're ever so slightly going slightly sideways, sort of crabbing almost, as you're going around the corner, which induces the effect of a longer wheelbase. And those bits of technology are just absolutely epic, and they were actually that was actually integrated into other models later on after this generation of 991. These cars ran up to 2015. There might have been some registered in 2016 as well, and they came with a huge amount of options as standard. So things like the cruise control, bows were standard. This car's got the further upgraded Burmeister. They came with a pano roof, but you could spec it to be the metal roof. I'm not aware of any that have got the solid roof, but you may know of one, and please do comment below on this video if you can correct me on anything I'm saying. Happy to listen to other people's opinions about these cars. If you've owned one, please do share your experiences and feedback on what it's like to own over the long term. I think these are absolutely fantastic. I've had the 991 turbos and the Turbo S's. Turbo S's are sort of like 10% more extreme, and it's quite nice. They come with the two-tone leather as well. So this one's got the Carrera red leather with the black extended tops and contrast red stitching, also red belts, and yeah, a whole host of other options, which again you can watch on my other video, which is a walk around of this car being for sale, so you can see all of the options and everything else that makes this car particularly special versus any other Turbo S. But basically, this is, shock horror, an amazing everyday supercar. It's not a sports car, it's a supercar. This car, I mean, you can go, just going to come to a national speed limit section in a second. You can go from sort of 20 miles an hour. Again, actually, let me put it in manual, put it in second gear. Hopefully you can hear that exhaust burbling, but you can just literally, so I'm doing 30 miles an hour in second, and if I suddenly just, I mean, it just throws you back in the seat. It's just phenomenal amount of power. In fact, I think my camera on the outside is now facing upwards from the power of that acceleration. Yeah, absolutely insane amount of power. And the way it delivers it is so, I would say, sure-footed. So obviously it's a dry day now. It might be a bit different on a wet, slippery, cold day. I mean, the ambient temperature today is 23 degrees. It's actually perfect sort of temperature for a car like this. These cars do perform better with cold air going into them. Believe it or not, the colder air, obviously the intercoolers have got a job of cooling the air as it goes into the engine to optimize performance. On a cooler day, these cars have more power because you've got an added boost of more cold air going in. The air is just colder and denser, so it really can make a huge difference. But this is sort of a great combination of warm roads, warm tyres, and cool, well, sort of middle temperature air temperature, so it's not sort of like 30-40 degrees, which would then could hamper slightly your performance on the engine side. But I'm just now behind a row of cars, and even now it feels like a special car, because as soon as you touch the throttle, you hear those turbos spooling up and then releasing their excessive boost, because it's sort of, they're ready to build and ready to perform at any moment. Right, still in manual mode. There's no one behind me. Gonna do a little acceleration from around 10 miles an hour. So I pretty much came to a standstill, and I've caught up to all of that row of cars that I just let carry on around 45 miles an hour, which is way too slow for a national speed limit road, but there you go. I just absolutely love these cars because they've got that huge performance on tap. You don't need to use it all the time, which is great. They can actually be quite economical, quite docile. If you've got 2 or 3 people in the car, then you can drive so that everyone's comfortable. Obviously, you're not going to want to be in sport mode with PDCC, flooring it round every corner and every straight, because it will get very uncomfortable for your passengers. Generating those kind of G-forces, it would, if anyone's prone to car sickness, then this will induce it as a passenger if you really do that. But as I said, you don't have to drive like that. You can drive it just like any other 911, which is extremely smooth and comfortably. Without PDCC, it's an incredibly comfortable ride. It doesn't crash and bang over bumps, and at the press of a button you can stiffen everything up, you can put it in manual mode, and you can absolutely floor it. Just an absolutely unbelievable car to drive on the road. Yeah, and I just, yeah, absolutely in love with it. I love the look of them as well. I think the raised hips that these have to aid the aerodynamic performance of these cars is sensational. I love how that front splitter folds down, and you can leave it folded down if you want to, but it does reduce ground clearance. And that rear wing goes up and sort of tilts forward, just sort of like full time attack mode. Absolutely brilliant cars to drive, hold their values very, very well as well, and I think they will carry on as well. They're relatively reliable, just like the rest of the 911 range. Nothing really goes wrong on these cars, and as I said, you only have to service them every 2 years, so relatively maintenance free. And if you find a good specialist that can look after one of these with all the Porsche diagnostics like we do, then yeah, it's a great ownership prospect, and something you can enjoy for many years and cherish in your garage. Well, I hope you found this video useful about the driving experience of the 911 Turbo S. If you did, please do like this video, subscribe to our channel, and comment below if you have any feedback. Thank you for watching.